This is Beers, Burgers, and a Movie. I'm Connor with Joey.
Hey!
And Kyle.
That's me.
So we usually do just a review of one movie at a time, but this is going to be our 2018 Oscars discussion, the 2017 movies, the 90th Academy Awards, with little mini reviews sprinkled in here and there. So please like or subscribe if you like to hear us talk about other things in the future. This is available on YouTube and is downloadable as a podcast on iTunes and any of those other podcast apps.
Nothing says Oscar season like another podcast of people talking about the Oscars, but our opinions are the correct ones.
Yes, they are. So the Oscars are...
It'll be boring.
You think it's going to be boring? Last year wasn't boring, and it had like the epic Warren Beatty mistake.
He did not make the mistake.
Yeah, it wasn't
him.
It was
the chick.
Yeah, Faye Dunaway made the mistake.
Like always, Warren Beatty has been incorrectly blamed.
No, Warren Beatty, he was like, he saw the mistake and he was like, what the fuck do I do? And then Faye
he stood there for like a good minute.
Hurry up and say something. And he just like, she took the card and she didn't.
Yeah. She's the one that actually says it too.
Yeah. So like,
and then like,
I don't understand.
Then Jimmy Kimmel comes out. He's like, Warren Beatty, you ruined everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then he has to go explain himself. And it's like,
this poor old man.
But that's why it was amazing. Because even though I wanted La La Land to win, it made it even better. Just that it was a fiasco at the end.
Well, yeah.
All right, so 2017, as a year, I think it was a year of very good movies, but no real classics. Am I right? What do you think?
I would say I liked every movie I saw this year for the most part.
I think everything was going pretty good till I got Movie Pass, and then I saw so many bad movies.
Oh, yeah. Didn't we see Geostorm?
I saw Geostorm, I saw Suburbicon.
Yeah.
I saw Downsizing.
Yeah. Okay, so there was some shit thrown in there, but in terms of the movies that are like nominated for awards,
yeah, they were all
most of them
good.
are pretty solid. There's nothing that's an egregious like why is this on here, except in like certain categories, as we'll see shortly.
Yes, so we're gonna go through like every award, and we'll go through the ones that we don't know much about or aren't interesting pretty quickly. And it's most of the winners are pretty obvious at this point with all the other awards that have happened. So usually they all kind of fall in line at some point. There's a few and some big ones that aren't totally in stone yet, but we'll go through all of those. And obviously there'll be some spoiler talk, probably, perhaps. So consider this a warning if you actually care about that. Costume design, our first one.
Oh, sweet! I love this one.
Starting off strong.
How else could you start? So Beauty and the Beast, Darkest Hour, Phantom Thread, The Shape of Water, and Victoria and Abdul. So, obvious, I think this one is going to go to Phantom Thread.
What makes you say that?
You didn't see Beauty and the Beast.
I mean, obviously, it's like, it's the movie's about a guy who makes clothes.
Yeah.
I feel like the people that are voting on this shit will just think that and be like, I mean, how could I not vote for that? I mean, when it comes to like this kind of category, I look at costume design and I'm like, I don't know if a costume looks good or bad. I mean,
I'm an awful judge with that stuff.
I guess, like, I don't give a shit. I appreciate it, but I don't know.
It's probably worth bringing up that the people who are voting on this stuff are just people, too. So they probably haven't. Yeah. They probably haven't seen a lot of this stuff, also, and they're probably.
You think anybody saw Victoria and Abdul? Like, no, that's not gonna win anything.
I think my mom saw that.
Oh, really? Did she like it?
I don't know.
What's your mom's review of Victoria and Abdul?
I don't know. I can't even think of a joke. I'm too lost for words.
Okay.
Let's just give it to Phantom Thread.
Beauty and Phantom Thread.
That was a good movie, and it's about a guy who makes clothes.
Yeah.
You can sew almost anything into the canvas of a coat. When I was a boy, I started to hide things in the linings of the garments. Things that only I knew were there. Secrets.
Good morning.
Will you have dinner with me?
Yes.
Here's a clip from our review of Phantom Thread, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. So this is a love story that takes place in the 1950s between a dress designer named Reynolds Woodcock, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, and his muse, Alma, played by Vicky Creeps. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, so you know you're going to get something unique with a great story that is beautifully shot, and he did the cinematography for this one himself. I thought Phantom Thread was great.
I was a big fan of Phantom Thread. It's always nice to see Paul Thomas Anderson come out with a movie. Can we just talk about Reynolds Woodcock as a name for just a brief second? Because the reason that he's named Reynolds Woodcock in the first place is because Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Thomas Anderson were like joking to each other over the phone about like the silliest names they could come up with for their characters. And then Daniel Day-Lewis was like Reynolds Woodcock. And they're like, aha, that's the one. So if you laughed when you heard it, it's okay. So did they.
Yeah. You know what I really loved? The scenes that were shot from inside the cars. And I thought it was very interesting.
I like to see I like to see when things that have been done since the very beginning of movies are done in ways that I haven't seen before. And I would say that those car scenes felt like that to me. I mean, the filmmaking is really just, masterful. I don't know what else you can say.
So one other thing, this is definitely not your conventional type of love story.
This is not the kind of love story that you might be expecting from this kind of posh period piece. It's considerably more fucked up than that, but in a way that's like, it's fucked up, but it's also very touching.
Best visual effects. So these ones are all the big blockbuster movies that...
Well, again, it has every year we have to explain the blockbuster movies are always buried in these technical categories because none of these movies that are like nominated for awards have a budget, so they don't have special effects, and nobody gives a crap about the special effects in them. And then the blockbuster movies, nobody wants to vote for them as like the best movies of the year.
This is where Star Wars is going to win. I can feel it.
I think Star Wars is going home empty-handed except for maybe original score.
So the nominees are Star Wars: The Last Jedi, War of the Planet of the Apes, Kong Skull Island, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and the likely winner of Blade Runner 2049. You know that one's probably going to win.
Every movie has good visual effects these days.
Yeah.
Right, which is why this is like a really difficult one to even choose from. I'm sure every one of these, I saw Blade Runner 2049, I saw Star Wars: The Last Jedi, unfortunately, and I didn't see the other three, but they all looked good from the trailers. So visually, I
saw
guess.
War for the Planet of the Apes. I mean, those apes look good, man.
But did they look as good as Baby Groot?
They look better than Baby Groot.
Okay,
all
so
right, well,
whatever.
Actually, that's interesting that Blade Runner 2049 is the front runner for this one. Because I mean, the special effects in that are good, of course, but I mean, the apes and War for the Planet of the Apes is certainly
the apes.
some kind of technological wonder of animation. I'm not being sarcastic. Like, it's honestly like in terms of actual CGI characters, I don't think they've ever done better than that. So I don't know.
So there's Joey's vote. I'm voting for Star Wars because it needs to win. It needs to win. Did you see the nipples on that thing that Mark Hamill was milking? That was like revolutionary shit right there.
that was a great visual that I want to forget immediately.
A great visual effect.
Makeup and hair. So this one is Darkest Hour, Victoria and Abdul again, and Wonder. This one will 100% go to Darkest Hour.
I think so.
I don't know. Why not?
Isn't Winston Churchill bald?
But they had to put all sorts of crazy makeup on Gary Oldman to make him look like Churchill.
True.
You know,
they did have to do that. They did have to do that.
Didn't you see how much they messed up that kid's face in Wonder?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
that's true. They did that. So what about Victoria and Abdul? Was there like really crazy makeup in that?
That's what my mom said. Once again, I don't care at all about this subject, so I'll just say this is where Victoria and Abdul comes through. And
this is the sleeper
and seals
Victoria
the deal.
and Abdul. coming back from behind.
I mean, I guess Darkest Hour, it was kind of hard to tell that was Gary Oldman, so I guess that was good. But, like, I don't really care.
They could have just
True.
cast a guy that looked like him, but they didn't. Who was the guy they cast in the movie called Churchill that came out this year?
No, that's a good point. I know there was 2 Churchill movies and a Dunkirk movie, so
Yeah.
3 movies around the same time.
That's a
Period.
weird...
You should have gotten
That's a
that One
very weird
Direction
thing.
kid to be Churchill.
Ah, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Man, we're firing on all cylinders today.
Wait, let's just talk about... I don't think we talked about Darkest Hour before, so why don't we talk about that quickly?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Darkest Hour.
We're facing certain defeat on land, the annihilation of our army, and imminent invasion. We must negotiate peace talks.
When will the lesson be learned? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth!
Nonsense. The only slippery slope.
Would you stop interrupting me while I am interrupting you?
Okay, so that's obviously the Winston Churchill biopic starring Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Connor, what did you think of Darkest Hour?
Okay, Darkest Hour, I thought it was not terrible. I thought it was as good as like a biopic at like this could be. It took personal liberties somewhere. There's a divisive scene where Churchill is riding the tube, which I actually liked, which everyone says is absolutely bullshit, where he would not ride the tube and escape his security and talk to random people and then base his entire speech at the very end on that. So that, I enjoyed that scene. I know that it wasn't real, obviously, and I think that was fine. I think there was great shots of London, but overall, you know what this is. It's a biopic. It's, the story. It's, you have Stannis from Game of Thrones, that actor Stephen Delane.
Oh my god,
who-
that was him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
you're right.
he's
Wow.
like the antagonist.
Not really. There's no conflict.
He was the guy that was on Hitler's side.
Well, he wanted to make the deal with Hitler.
Right, he wanted to sign a peace treaty with the Nazis, and he was the guy that was in the movie so that Churchill should go, "We cannot put our head in the lion's mouth," or whatever he said. Something.
No. It's you don't negotiate with a tiger when your head is in its mouth.
Oh, see, so you know the whole thing. Joey, what did you think of Darkest Hour?
I don't know. Darkest Hour is a movie that you see, and you leave the theater, and you get dinner, and you go home and move on with your life.
I didn't even get dinner after that. I never
I
moved
probably
on
ate
with
dinner
my life.
before. I don't remember. It was a very uneventful day. Let's just put it that way.
It's not terrible, though. It's fine.
But it's also kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I realize that that's a very uninvolved opinion.
Why don't
But
you go watch
sometimes-
Transformers, Joey?
Sometimes you watch a movie and you just got nothing to say. Just like, this exists. It's exactly what I expected it to be. And it's kind of dull. There's some things about it that are, okay or effective in what they're doing. But I've seen this movie before, like 8 bazillion times. This movie is nominated for an Oscar every year. And it's the one that nobody cares about in the end. It gets forgotten about after a month.
Pretty
A
much.
month after the Oscars, nobody will remember this. Just like Spotlight, just like, I don't remember. See? There you go.
Yeah, there are a lot of these movies. I think the Stephen Hawking movie comes to mind. I think that it
Oh
might
my
have been the
God,
same
that
writer.
Oh,
existed.
that's right.
The theory
I think
of
it's
everything.
the same. Right, The Theory of Everything. That's the kind of movie. I think this is a little bit better than those Oscar bait kind of crap movies, but
Yeah.
I would agree that it is what you're expecting. So
Yeah. I don't know, I thought it was okay, but it's just a movie. There's like nothing special to it. It's just Churchill being Churchill.
And like, I don't want to discredit all the work that everybody put into making that movie
Oh yeah, people
come to life.
People probably did a lot.
But in my life, I'm okay with saying that movie was mediocre or just decent or whatever, even though I respect the people who made it very much for putting their heart and soul into a project. I'll never watch it again, and I'm glad to move on with my life,
okay, and moving on,
with our lives.
original song "Mighty River" from Mudbound by Mary J. Blige. Wow. "Mystery of Love" from Call Me by Your Name.
Nice.
Remember Me from Coco.
Nice.
Stand Up for Something from Marshall. This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. So I really like the song Remember Me.
Yeah,
I thought it was, very good. I thought it fit the movie well, and it's the front runner, and I think it will win.
Just by virtue of the fact that the song is integral to the story and is good and effective and emotional, makes it, like, instantly, to me, the only possible option. Because I guarantee all of these other songs are just, like, songs that are in the movie in addition to everything else that's going on in the movie.
Joey. This Is Me is probably sung by the bearded woman, and it's showing that that this is her true self, and she's not afraid to hide it anymore.
Hey, but that song is written by our boys, the lyricists from La La Land.
Oh, that's the song that made La La Land be on the cover of The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. From the same lyricists that brought you the lyrics to La La Land, here's The Greatest Showman. Like, wow.
That was one of the best jokes of all time. That when what was the song called from La La Land?
City of Stars won.
Right, City of Stars won, and the freaking lyricists go up to accept the Oscar.
It's like, I don't want to, like, again.
What kind of joke is that?
Here's the thing. I don't want to discredit the work that all of those lyricists, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul, put into La La Land. But, I mean, they added lyrics to an already written song. So if they're the ones who win for best original song, to me it's not that simple.
Yeah,
that's
right.
A little bit. But I of course, like, what's his face, Justin Hurwitz won for everything else anyway. So it's not like
Right.
it's not like it's a problem of, morals, but it is kind of funny. Before we get to animated feature, I just want to talk about the song from Call Me by Your Name.
Okay, yeah, please do.
I don't remember that at all.
So I don't know which song it was, but Call Me by Your Name's use of its music, except in the very last scene, is the perfect example of a movie stopping to show a music video for a few minutes and then moving on when it's over. Because
I can see that.
it's like this guy, Sufjan Stevens, writes a couple of pop songs, and then at some point in the movie, those pop songs are in there, and they just sort of like, have some, like, a montage of stuff where nothing's really happening with those songs in the background. So the movie stops so you can listen to the Sufjan Stevens song, and then the movie continues after it's over. So that's instantly why I think Remember Me is a much better choice, because there's a song that is, like I said, integral to the storytelling of the movie. That's a good use of an original song in a movie.
So going right off of that is animated feature.
Oh boy.
My favorite category this year.
So it's Coco, obviously the Pixar movie that is also the favorite and is almost a sure thing to win.
Mm-hmm.
The Breadwinner, which is an Irish movie, I believe, about a young girl in Iraq who becomes the kind of provider for her family while her father is imprisoned. I saw it. It was pretty good. Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. Thought it was pretty good.
It was produced by Angelina Jolie.
It was.
Ooh.
It was. She was. Loving Vincent, which I don't know what that is. Do you guys know what that is?
I know what that is. It's actually really interesting. It's probably kind of boring, but I think that the entire movie was animated with oil paintings.
Ooh.
Oh.
Like, because it's
that
about
sounds
Vincent
familiar.
van Gogh. So it's like animated very unconventionally and strangely. So I appreciate it for that, but I've heard it's kind of boring to watch.
And then these other two nominees, which, wow, these two are nominated for an Oscar. The Boss Baby.
Woo! Let's go.
Which
Can I just, for 1 second, talk about that? I love how it's called The Boss Baby and not Boss Baby. Okay.
well, why does that make it so much better for you? Kyle?
It's just, I like how it's, I don't know, there's something about the at the beginning, just, it really does it for me.
Like, so matter of fact that it's
Boss
the
Babies.
Boss Baby, not just one of the Boss Babies.
Boss Baby's my pick.
Oh, and well, I don't know, Kyle. Don't speak so soon.
Right.
Also, Ferdinand.
Starring Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning was in it, but mostly John Cena is Ferdinand.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the animated feature. Coco will win.
What do you think it was like at Pixar Studios when they saw that Ferdinand and the Boss Baby were two of the other picks? Like, they probably just took their award right then and there.
Okay, so next one, original score.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So Dunkirk, Hans Zimmer, Phantom Thread, Johnny Greenwood, The Shape of Water, Alexandre Desplat. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, John Williams, which I think is like his 4,000th like nomination in this category,
Good
or something
Johnny
like
boy.
that.
It's up
Yeah.
there.
And then 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Carter Burwell. I did not remember anything from the score of 3 Billboards, but okay.
Well, I think this is an interesting category because I think, other than 3 Billboards, like again, I don't remember anything about the music from that. I'm sure it
Yeah.
existed and was functional, but the other scores, I think there's something interesting to say about all of them, about their potential of winning the Oscars.
Let's hear 'em.
Everybody loves Hans Zimmer, but I think Dunkirk's score, it's, I guess it's effective and you remember it, but it's pretty much just a ticking clock and a bunch of
Right.
swells.
Yeah.
It
So
works
that's
well
like-
for what Dunkirk
that's-
is. It works
It's
very well.
fine. It's fine. I'm okay with that. But I think Hans Zimmer has probably written better music before. I think this is just him getting nominated for being Hans Zimmer. Phantom Thread, that's an interesting one because that's a Johnny Greenwood score, the guy from Radiohead, the lead guitarist, who likes to do things with Paul Thomas Anderson.
It's really weird that he did the score for Phantom Thread.
It is weird.
Like, just like,
And
it's like based nothing more on who he is and what that movie is. Like,
yeah,
Yeah, the thing about the Phantom Thread score, the soundtrack really does set the tone for all the scenes. I think
no, yeah, the music is very
it's
effective in Phantom Thread.
extremely effective, and it also is in The Shape of Water.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
I remember when the very first scene of The Shape of Water was probably my favorite scene in the movie, just because it was like showcasing the music and introducing the concept of the movie in a very good way, and I was like, oh, this might be really good. If that wins, I won't be totally disappointed, and it probably would, or probably will, just because the guy who composed it, I think, is sort of one of the handful of composers in Hollywood that everyone knows and appreciates and likes to laud. Like Johnny Greenwood, like the guy from Radiohead winning an Oscar, please, that's not going to happen.
Even though I like that score quite a bit, but I do think
I
The
mean,
Shape
we
of
all
Water,
did, but it's just he's not.
The Shape of Water is the favorite. And then what to say about Star Wars: The Last Jedi score?
I mean, if that wins, then it's just because John Williams is John Williams, and they just
Yeah.
like they like John Williams. They know who he is. I highly doubt that anything John Williams did in The Last Jedi is particularly notable. Or
not
memorable.
really.
I can't remember any of them.
I don't have the best, like, memory for scores and all that stuff, but I don't remember it being anything different than just like a generic Star Wars score.
Yeah,
Just using the same melodies he wrote 40 years ago.
Pretty much.
yeah. I mean, I really particularly liked the Laura Dern with purple hair theme.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought that was very good.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So let's give it to 3 Billboards.
Woo.
Okay, production design. So this is like the couple of the big blockbusters and then, some that were actually good movies. Beauty and the Beast, Blade Runner 2049, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, and The Shape of Water. And The Shape of Water is the favorite here, and I think that
Yeah, that's gonna
that's
win.
probably appropriate.
Yeah, I didn't love I think Dunkirk's my favorite movie on this list. I didn't love all of those movies, but I think, and of course, I didn't see Beauty and the Beast, but you can tell like the production design is pretty good.
Yeah.
Or I mean, like I don't know, I haven't seen it, so it's hard to say. But I think the production design on all these movies is pretty overall very solid. I just think The Shape of Water it has a leg up just for creating that fairy tale atmosphere, that very Guillermo del Toro specific vision.
Yeah.
So that's always gonna help. So yeah, that's a good category. A lot of good work being done in the production design world.
You clean that lab, you get out.
She deaf?
Mute, sir. She can hear you.
The thing we keep in there is an affront. And I should know, I dragged it all the way here.
Can we talk about The Shape of Water for a second? How it has 13 nominations.
It's
13.
a down year. What can I say?
But come on, 13 nominations for The Shape of Water. I mean, it's a movie that's good, but 13 nominations—that's as many as
people really
all-time
like it.
classics. I guess
It's
so.
the Oscars. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's so many things get nominated for a crap load of Oscars, and it's like,
But what's the most succinct way I can put this? The Shape of Water is a movie that was made with so much heart and passion that you almost want to throw up while you're watching it.
I do think it is a very, very good movie, though. And I think the actors are very great in it. Sally Hawkins does a fine job in, for you to believe her attraction to this like creature who's captured.
I mean, like, I didn't not like it. Like, let's be real. The Shape of Water is a fine film. It's like, it's so earnest, and it's so trying to make you feel so many emotions, and it's like it's screaming at you to feel moved, and like you're like, okay, relax, like this is nice, but like chill, take a chill pill, like slow it down a little bit.
Sound mixing and sound editing. Joey, can you kind of explain the difference quickly? Sound mixing,
we
sound editing.
tried to do this last year.
I
and I still
specifically
don't really
remember
know.
this.
I feel like, I mean, sound like mixing, when you're talking about mixing, that's literally like balancing volumes of different audio things. And editing would be like where you put them or how you create the sounds. So like, those are interesting categories to me. I don't really, I mean, obviously somebody's doing these jobs.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense to recognize them. But
Yeah.
to the casual observer, it's just like, random sound stuff.
Well, the really interesting thing is that the nominees are exactly the same.
Yeah.
So
They usually are too, or at least they're like pretty similar.
Yeah, it's like the same guys doing both.
Yeah.
right. So and that's the case in this one too. So I think there's a couple of interesting ones though. So for sound mixing, the nominees are Baby Driver, which I think is interesting and appropriate.
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049 again, that one's going to get all sorts of these technical awards. Dunkirk, The Shape of Water, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. So that, and again, sound mixing, sound editing have the same, nominees. But Baby Driver's interesting, and I know, Joey, when we reviewed Baby Driver, you talked about how there was like the Mickey Mousing was something that Baby Driver did well.
Yeah.
Like, I really like how music was used in Baby Driver. Like, I don't know if that's mixing or editing or whatever, but
I want to say it'd be closer to editing than mixing, but again, like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't, for what it's worth, which I don't know how much this is worth, for sound mixing, Baby Driver and Dunkirk are like both the favorites, and then for sound editing, Dunkirk is the favorite. I have no idea how this is determined, but that's how the odds seem to be going.
Weird.
So, I don't know. Have no clue.
I mean, Baby Driver had Holy Calamity, so I think it has to have a leg up.
Scream Insanity.
Yeah, that probably has to win just for that, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
They played Tony Hawk's Underground too. They know what's up.
That's definitely where Edgar Wright heard that.
Yeah.
There is no doubt in my mind.
He didn't respond.
I'm sure
He didn't respond to my tweet, but I guarantee that's where it came.
We need to
mind.
like bombard him with tweets
We do.
asking him if he put Holy Calamity in Baby Driver because he heard it in Tony Hawk's Underground too.
It'll be a nice change of pace from all the "Why'd you hire Kevin Spacey" tweets he gets.
Okay.
Moving on.
Film editing. Baby
The Boss
Driver.
Baby. Oh no, Baby Driver.
Oh,
Baby Driver, Dunkirk, I, Tonya, and The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. So again, this one, Baby Driver and Dunkirk seem to be the favorites.
That's fair.
I think that's probably legit.
I understand why like Baby Driver is on there. I actually thought the editing of Baby Driver was kind of bad,
Oh,
but that's just me. Nobody agrees with me on that one, I don't think. I thought the car chases in that movie were just like a clusterfuck of too many cuts.
they were a little
Couldn't
bit
really
too.
see anything.
Yeah, for as cool as they could have been, they kind of did it wrong. I think like.
Yeah.
You can never actually see like the car chase in like a full view. It was always
Well,
just
yeah,
like
You don't see
little
the stunts,
shots,
basically.
yeah.
There's like one stunt that you see in full. Otherwise, it's like 2 seconds of a car veering, then you cut to a close up of the guy's face,
Yeah.
and you cut to a close up of everybody else in the car, and it's like you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
And I mean that's probably just because they didn't have the budget to do like crazy stunts.
Could be.
Right, but this had a pretty big budget, though. Baby Driver.
Well, it had a low mid budget.
That was all going to Jamie Foxx and K-Pax.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't come cheap. And
That's true.
K-Pax especially doesn't come cheap. He does now.
Baby K-Pax will work. K-Pax is Kevin Spacey. He will work for food now. So
everybody knows that K-Pax is Kevin Spacey. Come on.
Who wouldn't know that?
Who doesn't know?
Where are we going? Dunkirk. I'm not going back. There's no hiding from this, son. We have a job to do.
And here's a clip from our review of Dunkirk, directed by Christopher Nolan.
Dunkirk is a very, very, very good movie. It's the kind of movie that you don't see very often anymore at this budget level, because there's very little dialogue, there's very little in terms of complicated storytelling. It is almost exactly what it seems like. A movie about people trying to survive and the other people trying to help them survive. And that's it. And what we're getting is pure cinema. Just these very specific scenes of people trying not to die, or trying to defeat the enemy to prevent those other people on the ground from dying, basically. And I love that kind of stuff. I think that's the kind of stuff that filmmaking does best. And it's the kind of stuff that in the hands of a competent filmmaker can create a very, very powerful movie. I'm shocked that filmmaker turned out to be Christopher Nolan, because he was never particularly well known for being a visual stylist. His movies are mostly innovative for their storytelling structure, which Dunkirk has a little bit of strangeness in there as well, and just their very driving high thematic material blockbuster action type stuff. He's not known for having very interesting visuals or very interesting anything to look at that you would think this is a great filmmaker. He's an interesting storyteller, but his filmmaking is always very documentary, very just straight.
All right, so these next bunch I don't know much about, but I guess I'll read them anyway. How about that?
Yeah, read them.
That works.
Best foreign language film: A Fantastic Woman, Chile; The Insult, Lebanon; Loveless, Russia; On Body and Soul, Hungary; The Square, Sweden.
I've heard of 2 of these.
Yes, I know. I had the opportunity to see all of them since I'm in New York, and they play lots of the big movies from overseas and everything. And I didn't see any of them, so I guess that's something me.
These all sound like generic short film titles.
But they're feature length foreign films.
But okay. I don't know any of these. I got nothing.
Yeah, I didn't see any of them. I don't know. I wanted to see The Square a little bit, but I heard it sucked. That's my review.
A Fantastic Woman is the favorite for this.
I saw a trailer for that.
Ooh.
That's my review of A Fantastic Woman.
Nice.
All right, so I'm sure the reviews for this next category will be similar. Best live action short film: DeKalb Elementary, The 11 O'Clock, My Nephew Emmett, The Silent Child, Watu Wote, All of Us. And that's the last one. Watu Wote, All of Us is all one thing. Okay? Okay. DeKalb Elementary is the favorite.
Do you have any insight as to why it's the favorite?
I got no information. I just know it is.
Okay, sounds good.
So
yeah,
that's
I might be seeing those soon.
You're gonna see the shorts?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that opportunity is available to me.
They do play that. They all of these, and I had the opportunity to see them too, and I didn't. So, best documentary short: Edith and Eddie, Heaven is a Traffic Jam on 405.
God, I hope that wins.
Heroin with E in parentheses, so I guess
I hope
heroin.
That
Heroin.
That is the amazing title.
It's very clever. Knife Skills,
That just sounds like some awful video on YouTube. And it's like a teenager who's like terribly overweight but is really good at like handling a knife.
And then Traffic Stop is the last one, and Edith and Eddie is the favorite.
Good.
This one. Okay. Right.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see any of these, obviously. I mean, again, Connor, you could have seen these. This is on you.
Oh, I know. No, this is
Me
totally
and Kyle
on me.
didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But
I had way too much. I had so much work that I could not spare the time.
man, how much of this podcast is just going to be excuses?
Best documentary feature. Abacus,
Oh,
Small
yeah.
Enough to Jail. Faces Places. Icarus. Last Men in Aleppo. Strong Island. So the favorite is Faces Places in this category.
It's also the best title.
And
It rhymes. Like 2 words that rhyme.
Faces Places. Yeah. Very, very good. Very good
Yeah, it's pretty
title.
cool.
Very good
I
title.
would see a movie called that if it were available in my town.
Yeah. Again, this was available in my town, and I was too busy. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, listeners, that we don't have any insight on these categories that I'm sure you're very interested in.
Yeah, this is probably why you're here.
So, the next one I actually did see. The Oscar animated shorts.
Oh, I saw one of these.
Okay. So, the nominees are Dear Basketball.
Let's go, Dear Basketball.
Kobe Bryant.
Garden Party. Lou.
Woo.
Negative Space. And Revolting Rhymes.
I saw Dear Basketball, I did.
Okay, so I saw the rest of them, but I want to give a little bit on each of them. So how about, Joey, what was great about Dear Basketball, and why is this one the favorite, which it is?
Dear Basketball is a movie about Kobe Bryant talking about how much he loves basketball ever since he was a kid, but now he's getting old and he's going to retire, but he'll always be that kid who was shooting hoops in his room.
Right.
room.
Okay. So the story is very, very boring and kind of not impressive to me.
Boring.
But why?
Like, what's boring? You know, like
right. It was.
It was. You know.
I wasn't very like enthralled by it, but the animation was interesting.
Well, the animation, yeah. I recognized the name Glenn Keane, which is why I watched it, because at least from what I remember, he's one of the major Disney animators from like the 90s Disney revival era.
Ooh.
So like it made sense to me that would be good just based on that guy's skill level at animation. And when you watch it, it's like, you know, it is very interestingly animated, and it looks sort of like it has that old Disney style of animation, and or at least that style of drawing, but it's done in like pencil drawings. It looks really cool, basically.
So I'm watching some of it right now. I do like the look of this.
Yeah, like it looks really cool, and it's, you know, it's a simple thing it's trying to do. It's just I don't know like why this exists. I don't know if Kobe Bryant went to Glenn Keane and said, I want to make a movie about my love of basketball, or if some promoter said, we need to improve your image, let's make a short film, an animated short about your love of basketball.
They met in an elevator and like their ideas just met.
I can't imagine how this possibly came to be, but it does exist, and it's fine.
Right. So I'll talk about the other ones really quickly. Lou is a Pixar short, and it looks wonderful. It looks like a Pixar movie. It has heart. It's about like a boy who is stealing all these kids' toys at recess, and then a lost and found box where the L in lost and the O in found and the U and or something. I don't know. The letters Lou are like missing, and that's how they got Lou. I don't know. Something like that. But there's like a creature that is formed, or like a living thing that's formed out of a lost and found box, and it kind of puts itself together with all of the missing toys and stuff. Lou kind of guides this little bully boy who's stealing all the kids' toys into giving all the toys back to them, and then at the end, it's very, very nice. So,
Mr. Motion. Where is that played? Because usually these Pixar shorts are before Pixar movies.
Cars 3, Joey.
Was it actually?
Because I just wanted to look this one up too, and the video's loose short film / Cars 3 best scenes. So
there you go.
I'm gonna assume it's through Cars 3.
Man,
So
they could have put
that's
that before Coco, but instead they put Olaf.
Oh my god, you're right.
Jesus.
Okay, so you bring up Olaf. Now I'll go and
Oh,
talk.
where's
yeah.
Olaf on this list?
Yeah, what
Yeah,
the
I
hell?
know. Olaf is missing, but there's something that's almost Olaf to me. Revolting rhymes.
Okay.
So Olaf we hated for many reasons, but I
Wait,
think and
hate?
Olaf was of course all right, sorry. Yes, Kyle. Olaf was the short before Coco. It was about 22 minutes or something like that, right?
Yes.
Longest 22 minutes of my life.
So Revolting Rhymes is like an hour.
Whew.
So you have to sit through it, and basically what it is a combined story of Snow White, Little Red Riding Hood, and the Three Little Pigs all wrapped up into one story. It never ends. There's a couple of moments that might make you chuckle, but it's terrible. It's kind of weirdly violent, and Little Red Riding Hood has a gun. She's killing the wolves in it with a gun.
Nice.
But it's still like a kid story, and then there's like Snow White is with the dwarves, and they become rich off of gambling because they use the mirror on the wall to find like the racehorse to bet on or something. I can't describe this one enough to explain how I hated it so much, and it never ends. I wish if it was 5 minutes, I might be able to tolerate it, but it was unbelievable. I don't know how this is part of this category.
Man, this sure is a good thing Jacob Schuh and Jan Lotschower aren't listening to this podcast.
They might be, though.
Well, I mean, they're probably looking up people that are talking about their movie that
They
nobody
are.
saw. So maybe this
Connor,
this will
don't
be one
forget
of
to
the
put
few that they-
revolting rhymes in the tags.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Absolutely. So the next one, Negative Space. This one is kind of weird. I liked it too. So I don't know what exactly the animation was. It kind of looks like it's like a stop motion kind of thing.
Okay.
It's hard to describe. It opens with a young man who says that his father taught him how to pack, meaning pack a bag, and you see all of these garments that are laid out on the floor, and then they're placed into a bag, and he describes exactly how they're all placed into the bag, and they kind of you see all of them kind of float into the bag on their own, and it's this weird sad relationship he has with his father, where the only thing that they did together was he would pack his bag, he would go off to his business trip or whatever, and that was the relationship. He would wait for his dad to text him back that he did it perfectly, or he packed it all perfectly, and then he reminisces about his relationship with his dad while seeing other kids who have real relationships with their dad, learning how to, play sports or fix cars. It's weird. It ends kind of in like a weird, dark way, where I'm not sure if there was some kind of message that they were going for, that there's something missing in the kid's life. But wow, it was interesting to say the least.
Cool.
So the last one is Garden Party, and this is the one that I like the most. And Joey, when I describe this one a little bit, I think you might be intrigued to look it up at least. It takes place in what looks like the scene from the cartel in Breaking Bad. And this is something that my girlfriend and I both thought. It looks like the area where the cartel was in Breaking Bad that got broken into and like shot up, and no one is around. But it's now the land of frogs who are just jumping around and having a good time, eating up the food that's been there for weeks, months, who knows how long. And the frogs are just hopping around, enjoying the time. It's all in like 3D animation. It's really nice. At some point they turn on the lights and everything, and it has a shocking ending at the end where you get a little more details of what happened at this place. It looks like the Breaking Bad set, which is very interesting, and I think it's worth checking out, especially if you like frogs.
I'm looking up a trailer right now. Oh my god, look at these frogs.
They're pretty nice, aren't they?
They're just swimming around and croaking. Just sort of doing their thing. I gotta find a screening of this. Dude, these frogs look incredible. These are like... I take it back. The apes are not the best characters in CG. It's these frogs. Look at these fucking things.
I know. I told you. These are some amazing, amazing frogs.
Oh my god. I love this. I love this so much.
So I would suggest everybody watch Garden Party and Lou and Negative Space and Dear Basketball and then skip Revolting Rhymes because that one sucked hard. Okay. Cinematography, Blade Runner 2049, Roger Deakins. Darkest Hour, Bruno Del Bonnell. Okay. Dunkirk, Hoyt van Hoytema. Mudbound, Rachel Morrison. And The Shape of Water, Dan Lauston. Well, Blade Runner 2049 is most likely going to win. Roger Deakins. He'll finally get his Oscar after being nominated however many times.
It's like when Martin Scorsese won the Best Picture Oscar for The Departed, where it's like, that's not even close to his best movie, but he didn't win for any of the other ones, so they sort of just felt like, all right, now we'll give you one now. It's been long enough. So the same thing with Roger Deakins. It's like all the film bros are wondering why Roger Deakins doesn't have an Oscar, and now their voice has been heard. He will get one for Blade Runner 2049.
Thank the Lord.
Original screenplay, The Big Sick, Emily V. Gordon and Kumail Nanjiani. Get Out, Jordan Peele. Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig. The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro and Vanessa Taylor. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Martin McDonough. So the favorites for this one are 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri and Get Out. So I'm not sure where they're going to go with this one, but I would give it to Get Out.
I think this is one of those categories where it's hard to say, like, I mean, at least for me, I don't know which one I think I like the best, if that's even a question worth asking. They're all solid scripts, I guess. Like, I don't know.
Here's my problem. There's nothing original about Get Out. Racism has been happening for years. That's all I got.
I'll be here all week.
Racism, The Stepford Wives, and Invasion of Body Snatchers. Next, already seen it.
Exactly.
Right. You got it, Kyle.
I like how racism was in that group with the other movies.
I'm trying to think. This is such a hard category, because it's not like we can look at the screenplays. All we get is the movie. So we don't really know, like, if the screenplay itself was any good.
I mean, I could definitely see Get Out winning this, though.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's kind of interesting is, other than The Big Sick, which was written by Emily V. Gordon and Kumail Nanjiani, who obviously lived this in real life, all the rest of them were also directed by these people.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That's the interesting thing, because all of these movies, all these nominations anyway, just sort of feel like an extension of the Best Director, Best Picture, nomination, because that's, none of the people that are voting on this read the screenplays either. I just think that The Big Sick sort of gets this as a consolation for not being nominated for Best Picture, and this is where it fits the best, I guess. I don't know.
How long has this been going on, this thing?
Do you smoke in front of my daughter?
I'm gonna quit.
She'd take care of that for you.
How?
Hypnosis.
I'm good, actually.
You ready for this?
How bad can it be?
Here's a clip from our review of Get Out, directed by Jordan Peele.
Learning about the sinister underbelly of what's going on is part of the fun, I think, of Get Out. When it's a horror movie, it's a genuinely disturbing, very creepy movie.
I was more tense than, laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did laugh.
There are things that you laugh at, but it's sort of like an awkward laughter, and you're not really sure, like, if it's creepy or if it's funny, and then it starts getting really creepy. But then there are moments that are really, like, obvious broad comedy, which also sort of work.
There's a straight-up comic relief
character.
Get Out provides, like, a social commentary on top of a horror movie, and it's obviously about race relations and everything, but not your classic, like, racism that you would normally see, which is just, like, hating another race. This is more the subtle, subtle racism, or, like, the kinds of things that you'll say to, like, where you don't think it's racist, but it's like, how are you saying
it's like a subtle, it's a subtle thing, like where, like, I guess they would call them microaggressions in today's society. The way this movie uses them is really interesting, because it does it to ramp up a horror concept.
Right.
Which is something you wouldn't expect. Which is, like, I think the best part, like, the best thing you can say about this is that it takes, like, I think every good horror movie does this, or any good, like, tense movie does this, where it takes a real-life situation and then amplifies it to an absurd extreme.
Yeah.
And that's why it works so great.
Best Adapted Screenplay.
Ooh.
Call Me By Your Name, The Disaster Artist, Logan, Molly's Game, and Mudbound. So I think Call Me By Your Name is the favorite on this one and will likely win. Kind of scary, Joey, isn't it? That Logan, a superhero movie, it's the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
That Logan is nominated for a real category.
People love Logan.
Yeah, it's a
for
shame.
The Oscars.
This is like, well, really, I guess in like 20 years when there's no movies except for movies based on existing properties and with merchandising rights tied to them.
Oh, you mean 2019?
I mean, we're getting there. So it could be sooner, but at some point, the only movies that will exist are movies made by the Disney Corporation. And when that happens, they will point to either Suicide Squad winning an Oscar or Logan being nominated for an Oscar as the tipping point when culture decided that was okay.
Yep.
Everybody's trying to say Logan is it's really a Western. The fucking director of Logan came out recently and said, I was trying to make an Ozu film. I don't know if you know anything about Ozu. He's one of like the greats of Japanese cinema from like the fucking 30s. And like,
finally,
you don't get to say that for making your Wolverine movie, bro. I'm sorry. You did not make an Ozu movie. You made a fucking Marvel movie with a guy who says fuck.
Joey, here's the problem. Yeah. Here's the problem. You did not get the Logan Blu-ray and did not watch it in black and white. So I think your perception of the movie is a little warped.
Oh, you're right. I didn't watch it in black and white. You're right. I think that's all it is.
Yeah. So Logan's going to win.
The other interesting one is Mudbound. The reason that I think it's interesting is that this is a Netflix original. Mm-hmm. So Netflix, a watch-at-home service, is getting nominated for real awards at the Oscars now.
Interesting.
So this could be a tipping point too.
Nobody saw Mudbound.
I think people saw it, but it still is getting nominated, so it's getting recognition. And I know that Mudbound also had like a brief run in theaters too.
In some theaters.
Some independent theaters in New York or Chicago or probably LA. But it's interesting. It's a direct to Netflix movie, and yet it's getting nominated for Oscars. The other one, The Disaster Artist, they wanted to throw this thing something because they didn't want to have James Franco, who did win awards for Best Actor. They didn't want him as any part of the Oscars, so they didn't want to give him a nomination. They didn't want to put the movie for Best Picture or anything like that, even though I don't think it deserves that. But they wanted to give this one something, so they throw it a bone for Best Adapted Screenplay, and they are not announcing the nominees. They'll probably announce this one really quickly. The Disaster Artist, so they can move on to the next thing, so they don't have to talk about James Franco.
Yeah, those James Franco allegations came out at like the perfect time for the voters not to vote him for Best Actor. What's his face?
Denzel Washington
Denzel gets nominated for Roman J. Israel.
We will get to that. Molly's Game, Aaron Sorkin, he wrote and also directed this one. This is his first movie he directed. I didn't love Molly's Game. I thought it was kind of lame, but it was okay. I think you liked Molly's Game?
No, that was a generic reaction that didn't have any feeling or thought tied to it.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I don't know. A Best Adapted Screenplay. I guess they saw Aaron Sorkin, so they, these voters who probably didn't even see the movie just threw him in. Call Me By Your Name, again, the favorite, and I think it'll win.
They wanted to win something.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this will be where it'll win.
What was that adapted from?
A book.
Okay.
Boundless by the time I cry.
You only knew how little I know about the things that matter.
Build your walls around.
What things that matter?
White noise, what an awful sound.
You know what things.
Call me by your name and I'll call you by mine.
You guys saw Call Me By Your Name, so why don't we talk about that one really quick?
Sure. It was a movie that I think was very well liked by a lot of people. And I don't want to say this, I don't want to say, but it sucked, because that's not true. I mean, it's one of those movies that it gets incredible hype about, but that hype creates these expectations about what you're about to watch.
Yep.
that the movie itself doesn't even seem to be aspiring to make you feel. It's a very modest and simple movie. Parts of it are emotional, and
It has very sad credits.
It has very sad credits. Sufjan Stevens has a couple of music videos in the middle. I hate the hype machine of the internet, man. Like, it's just the worst. I just want people to stop talking about movies entirely so that when movies come out, we have no expectations and nobody is, like, foaming at the mouth over every movie that comes out. Like, this movie was, like, talked about as the best thing ever. Lady Bird was talked about as the best thing ever. 9900 or whatever on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the best movie ever reviewed. And now fucking Black Panther is that. It's like, can we please stop calling every movie the best movie ever? And can we just let movies be what they're going to be? So that we're not expecting something that's like really life-changing.
Okay, but what happened in Call Me By Your Name? Like, it took place in Italy, right?
Italy is very pretty.
Yeah,
I will say that.
Right, that's one thing that, right, everyone pretty much says that it does a great job capturing Italy.
And some people say that does a great job capturing the lives of very privileged white boys in rich white boys in Italy who have no responsibilities. And that's actually pretty true.
Yeah, I'd say so.
This might be my opinion just from seeing the trailers, but I thought that Armie Hammer, who plays the older grad student or that kind of ends up in some kind of relationship with Timothy Chalamet's character, right?
Elio.
I thought he seemed too old for this part. Did it come off that way in the movie?
I mean, like, maybe a little bit, but I mean, Armie Hammer is an attractive man, so I didn't really care how old he was.
I agree, but Timothy Chalamet, he looks like a very young boy.
It does. It does look a little bit like it's like a 15-year-old and like a 30-year-old at times.
I was just scrolling through an article. So this is from today, from Jennifer Lawrence in an interview with Entertainment Tonight.
Here we
go. Listen to this.
This will be interesting.
This is kind of like a funny. I think she was saying it in a funny way, but still, it's interesting. So she goes, Timothy, I'm waiting for him to get a little bit older, you know? I'm buttering him up like a pig for slaughter, and then I'm going to swing right in there as soon as he's like 30. He's old enough for me to say that, right? He's over 18? And then she's told that he's actually 22. Her being 27, she goes, I didn't realize he wasn't so young.
Here's the thing. I think both Armie Hammer and whatever this guy's name both look younger than they really are. Which I think kind of helps and sort of hurts. I don't know. I mean,
the question is always just going to be, like, what is an appropriate relationship? At what age is it appropriate for you to be with somebody who's just a little bit older? I mean, it's like, I don't know. Like,
it's not like they had K-Pax playing that role.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Kevin Spacey.
I could see, like, thinking it was weird from the outside, but in the movie, it never really bothered me that much.
Okay.
I mean, I think I want to say that the movie, like, is at least aware to some degree about it being a semi-fraudulent relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's not like it has a super happy ending or anything.
No.
All right. Well, I want to see it, even though it probably is not the greatest movie of all time.
Yeah. Don't ever believe hype for anything ever.
Yeah. There was a lot of hype behind that movie.
If you ever read a headline that says the best movie of, or a triumph, or anything that uses ridiculous language to laud a movie, don't trust it. It doesn't mean the movie's bad, but I mean, I feel like in journalism today, they have to say the most overblown shit to get clicks, and it creates this expectation in your mind about every movie being some life-affirming, changing experience. That's just not the case.
Well said. And moving on, Best Supporting Actress.
Oh boy, we're getting to the big ones.
Mary J. Blige in Mudbound, which we have to see, I guess, who's got lots of nominations.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige in particular, Best Original Song, all sorts of stuff.
He's doing everything.
Yeah, welcome back. Allison Janney, I, Tonya. Leslie Manville, Phantom Thread, Laurie Metcalf, Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer, The Shape of Water.
Octavia Spencer? She was barely in that movie.
I know, that's the thing that... So this is another one where the people who are voting on these things, they know who Octavia Spencer is, they like her, plays much bigger parts in other movies, but she gets into this award.
The same is true of Allison Janney, though.
I would disagree with you. I
mean, I'm not saying she sucked, but...
So Allison Janney is the favorite right now for this one. And I think she's probably the best part in I, Tonya.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
She was good. I guess, to me, I didn't really like I, Tonya that much, so I just, in my heart, it's not something I want to see win an award. And, Leslie Manville is awesome in Phantom Thread.
Yeah,
she is a great character. And I feel like her character is more subtle, but more effective at creating a memorable character than Allison Janney is. Because Allison Janney is just a massive bitch, terrible mom. That's a very simple character, I get it, and she plays it, super big. But Leslie Manville is, a very unique and specific, performance she's giving for that character. And I think it's ultimately a more memorable performance.
I would agree with that, I think. But Allison Janney, I still liked a whole lot. I think she's very entertaining, I, Tonya. But my favorite in this one would be Laurie Metcalf in Lady Bird. Because I think overall, Lady Bird was about the relationship between, a mother and daughter. So Laurie Metcalf and Saoirse Ronan.
It's a movie with very honest and believable characters performed very well. Again, I just think Lady Bird itself made less of a personal impact on me. So
it's because you're not a teenage girl.
I'm not. I can empathize, but ultimately, I think Leslie Manville's character in Phantom Thread is the most interesting to me out of any of these.
Yeah, you are right though. Leslie Manville was really great though in that.
Yeah, she's the secret weapon to Phantom Thread, I think.
Yeah. But I did like Laurie Metcalf too. I'm actually mad Octavia Spencer got nominated.
Because you're racist?
Well, that, and because I don't know, because she was such a non-factor in that movie.
I'm glad she got nominated so that she can sit in the front row and then have a terrible bit in the Oscars where what's his face, Neil Patrick Harris goes, "All right, Octavia Spencer, make sure you keep watch on this Best Picture envelope." That was my favorite Oscar memory.
Yeah. Was that Octavia Spencer that he made?
Yeah, it was Octavia Spencer.
Oh, gosh.
It was such a good bit.
Oh, man. The Oscars are such a joke. They're always a fiasco.
Wait, who's hosting this year?
It's Jimmy Kimmel again, I think.
Oh, nice.
They brought him back.
Yeah, the return. Jimmy Kimmel, the return.
Lady Bird, is that your given name?
Yeah.
Why is it in quotes?
I gave it to myself. It's given to me by me.
Lady Bird always says that she lives on the wrong side of the tracks, but I always thought that was a metaphor. But there are actual train tracks.
And here's what we thought about Lady Bird, directed by Greta Gerwig. I think this was the most true-to-life coming-of-age story I've ever seen. And it's in a different way than a John Hughes movie. I even saw some comparisons people were trying to make to The Edge of 17 from last year. I don't see that at all.
It's very honest. It definitely has some aspects of nostalgia. It has some aspects of interesting familial relationships. If you're into the more political side of it, then you could probably find something being said about poverty and not being very well off in a family. There's a little bit of that in there. But nothing's in your face. It's all very, very honest about the life of this family, and particularly the relationship between the mother and the daughter.
They knew their shit in that movie, just how people act and what it's like growing up to be a teenage girl. I don't know what it's like to be a teenage girl.
Mm.
My girlfriend was yeah, that pretty much hit the nail right on the head.
That's why it's nice, especially these days, to see movies directed by women about women, Instead of just coming-of-age movies about your typical white boy upbringing, which is what all of them are. Now we get finally a different perspective.
Okay. Best Supporting Actor.
Yes.
Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project. Richard Jenkins, The Shape of Water. Woody Harrelson, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Sam Rockwell, also 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and the Fuck You K-Pax nomination of Christopher Plummer, All the Money in the World. So
I really want Christopher Plummer to win.
I know. Oh, me too. Like 110%.
Because I want him to go up to the podium and say, I would like to thank Kevin Spacey for the opportunity.
Because he has to say that, right? Like if he wins.
Well, he wouldn't. Unless he had a real good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Do you think that Jimmy Kimmel's going to make a joke about this somehow? Or do you think it's just something you can't touch?
That's a good question.
I think hosting this year's Oscars is the worst job ever.
Oh, that's got to be tough.
Because
it's got to be tough.
Because if he says anything like, even if it's like jokingly sexist or racist, it's going to be so blown out of proportion.
He's walking on eggshells this year.
Yeah, exactly. He's walking on eggshells. Like, if anyone even brings up K-Pax, like, people are going to lose their shit.
Unless they call him K-Pax, in which case everybody will be dying. Like, it'll be a...
They'll just be laughing. Okay, wait, what about this? Would this fly if in the in memoriam it shows Kevin Spacey's career on there? Would that fly? Would people laugh at that?
Harvey Weinstein.
Just all of them?
That would be amazing. Please do that, Oscars. Please.
In memoriam of our terrible men.
Oh, fuck.
Who will no longer be working with us.
So, 3 Billboards obviously is a very character-driven movie, and it has 2 nominees here, and everything is pointing towards Sam Rockwell winning, which is very interesting given the complexity of his character, to say the
3
least.
Billboards dares to ask the question, what if a guy who was a racist could have a heart?
Yeah. I guess.
I mean, that question's not that interesting. I mean, his character is, like, not that interesting to me overall. And I don't think... his performance is, like, good, I guess. But, looking at this list, I think Woody Harrelson I preferred in 3 Billboards. I think his character moved me more. Sam Rockwell just sort of felt like a very obviously designed character.
Yeah.
Like, I get exactly what they're doing with him, and it's a little bit phony.
Woody Harrelson had, like, a little bit more of, like, a personality, I felt like.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't so black and white, which I feel like Rockwell's kind of was, but whatever. He was definitely more on the white than the black.
I haven't seen The Florida Project, but I hear Willem Dafoe is fantastic.
Has anyone seen that? The Florida Project?
I definitely, like, I should have seen it if I had a chance.
Me too.
It's one I want to see.
I intend to see that one as well. And the brief thing I'll say about Christopher Plummer, while I didn't love All the Money in the World, I thought it was a very thin story. I think everything with him in it is very good.
He was the best character by a mile in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
he was good.
If they made a movie where he was in it more and was more of the lead, I think I would have enjoyed it much more. But obviously, how do you do that? And that would have changed so much of it. And it was a very ballsy move for, Ridley Scott to just decide my movie's a month from coming out, but we're redoing all this.
Yeah, so I would love it if he won. It's probably not going to happen, but that would be great.
So, Mildred Hayes, why did you put up these billboards?
My daughter Angela was murdered 7 months ago. It seems to me the police department is too busy torturing black folks to solve actual crime.
The hell is this?
3 Billboards. This was good. I liked it. It's an interesting movie.
There's a lot going on in it.
I mean, it's just a very strange and I don't want to say all over the place movie, but it definitely goes to many places and crosses many lines that you might not have expected it to cross when it first started. Especially with all the characters. Like, every single character has many reasons not to like them.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. But there's more to it.
Yeah. Kyle?
I also liked it, but I'll do what Joey couldn't.
Oh, boy.
It was all over the place.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It was just... It never really felt like one thing was happening. Kind of felt like all sorts of different stuff was going on. But I also enjoyed it.
Yes.
I liked all the characters, even when they were dicks.
Lead actress, the big favorite, Frances McDormand. 4 Billboards, Sally Hawkins, The Shape of Water, Margot Robbie, I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan, Lady Bird, and here she is again, Meryl Streep for The Post.
Thank you, Arthur.
She wasn't even that good in the Post.
She was fine.
Meryl was in it, so
She was.
therefore she is nominated.
Yeah.
Frances McDormand, I think, deserves it. I think she was very good in
she
3
was very
Billboards, and I would say she deserves it.
It's a tough part to play, too. I mean, when the director asks you to talk to a CGI deer, that's like, oh man, how do I do this in a way that's not embarrassing? And she almost pulls it off. So, bless her heart.
I mean, Meryl Streep had to talk to Arthur. That was pretty tough, too.
Yeah, that is tough. That guy, you kidding me?
Fucking Arthur.
I mean, Sally Hawkins had to act next to Abe Sapien from Hellboy.
She had to. She actually had to have sex with Abe Sapien in that movie.
I don't know if people are talking enough about how Abe Sapien is in The Shape of Water.
I think people are talking about it a lot. It's just not.
Yeah, people have mentioned it.
It's just not hitting the mainstream yet.
Oh yeah, because it's almost the same character design and everything.
No, I think it just is the same character design.
Oh really? So wait, maybe The Shape of Water is a prequel to Hellboy.
Oh my gosh!
And then it gets smart and stuff, right?
And then Richard Jenkins ends up being the old man that nurses Hellboy back to life.
Whoa, maybe it's all of the Guillermo del Toro cinematic universe.
Moving on.
Frances McDormand will win this one.
What about Margot Robbie?
Oh, Margot Robbie. Let's explain her.
Hi, Tanya. Sucked.
Hey, calm down.
You're so anti-Tanya.
It just wasn't very impressive.
You probably still think that she did know something about that whole incident, don't
you? That scene where she said, You all are my abusers too. That really rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I didn't do shit to you, Tanya. I don't know you. Stay out of my life.
And then did you like how a week after the movie came out, the real Tanya Harding came out and said, yeah, I might have known a little bit more than I let on. So the movie is totally...
She contradicts herself outside of the movie, like a week after the movie came out, which is just... That's so dumb.
No more biopics. Stop making them.
So, can I ask you a hypothetical question?
Oh, dear, I don't like hypothetical questions.
Well, I don't think you're going to like the real one either.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet.
The Post. This is one that I also, unfortunately, have not seen yet.
What?
Starring Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks. Kyle, why don't you take it away with The Post? Steven Spielberg movie.
The Post was a movie about the Washington Post and all the hijinks they went through. And
I wish there were more hijinks.
There weren't really many hijinks whatsoever.
There wasn't much hijinks. It was pretty much just did you have the papers?
Yeah.
We have the papers.
Yeah,
can we print the papers? Oh my god, what will happen if we print the papers? And then they print the papers. And then it's over.
Yeah. And then you look at the credits and you realize what the fuck is up with this cast? Why is David Cross and Bob Odenkirk in a serious movie about the Washington Post?
Yeah, that's very strange. The Mr. Show reunion.
Yeah, this is the reunion.
David Cross is in this?
Yeah, he's like one of the other like lackey like writers. It's really weird.
Maybe it's because they just think this is a whole big joke and that it's all fake news anyway.
Oh,
so
The Post is...
and Jared's in it from Silicon Valley.
Oh, God, yeah. That was so funny when he showed up.
And so is Todd from Breaking Bad. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird cast. It's a weird cast. And it's a boring movie.
Yeah.
I think the filmmaking and Steven Spielberg knows how to make a movie.
He sure
does. He knows how to put these things together in a way that is at least baseline compelling and sometimes very interesting. But, man, do I not give a shit about journalism in the 70s.
Nope.
There couldn't be anything more boring than watching people decide whether or not to print a news story for an hour and a half. It's like, what if the government gets us? Oh, no. I understand that there's, politics and ideas going on there. And it's not that some of those things aren't necessarily interesting, but the movie is treating everything that's happening as like this rousing spectacle, and it just isn't. Like, it's trying to move you in the same way E.T. does, except about people trying to publish a story. It's like it just doesn't work. That doesn't move me. And so it's not like I said, like Steven Spielberg knows how to make a movie in a way that is at least baseline compelling. So it's not like the movie is like terrible, and I appreciate the filmmaking in it a lot in certain cases, and in some cases it's a little bit on the nose. Sometimes embarrassingly so, but I forgive
a
it.
little bit on the nose.
But I just don't care about the story it's trying to tell me, and I don't think that the way it's telling the story makes sense for what the story is. It's just not a rousing movie, and it doesn't make me feel like it doesn't lift me up. It doesn't make me like really energized by anything, because it's just a movie about journalists printing a story. A woman leading the Post.
My word.
Did someone said my word?
I don't think anybody ever said my word.
I don't think so, but I really wish.
Do you think that Steven Spielberg should be more selective with what he churns out these days? He seems to make a movie a year.
I just think he needs to stop getting his cinematographer to make every scene with windows just like a giant white light shining through.
He really loves that.
That's his entire aesthetic now, just like rooms with windows that are like extremely overexposed. That's just like the style of the cinematographer he works with. I'm blanking on his name, but like that is the Spielberg look these days, along with Tom Hanks being in it.
I think I like Bridge of Spies though.
I liked Bridge of Spies a lot.
Yeah, Bridge of Spies
a lot
is
more
good.
than a lot of other people did, from what I remember. I remember it being really good.
Yeah, but Bridge of Spies was nominated for Best Picture. I mean, he's had some duds though, like the BFG wasn't that one? That was a dud.
Some people forget that even happened.
He did the
Like
Big
myself.
Friendly Giant?
Yeah, he made that. You didn't know that? Oh. And he's got another Indiana Jones thing happening at some point, and I guess the big one is Ready Player One coming out. Which...
he did he's doing Ready Player One?
Yep, that's him.
Oh, yeah. That is him. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, Steve.
Lead actor, Timothée Chalamet, Call Me By Your Name. Daniel Day-Lewis, Phantom Thread. Daniel Kaluuya, Get Out. Gary Oldman, Darkest Hour. And Denzel Washington,
Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Oh my God.
That is so exciting to me that Roman J. Israel Esquire was nominated for an Academy Award.
Nobody saw
honestly, like, that makes me more happy than The Boss Baby being nominated for an Academy Award. Just because, like, The Boss Baby, I understand. Like, that getting nominated, it's like, well, you know, the people voting on the Oscars, you know, the only animated movies they know of are the ones that their grandkids made them see. So The Boss Baby getting on there, sure. Like, what else came out this year in America? I don't even know. But Roman J. Israel Esquire being nominated for an Academy Award, I don't care that it's Denzel. That is insane. That's a movie that, like, I can't believe it exists in the first place. It's just like it was in theaters for a while, and then it left, and it was like nobody liked it, and everybody forgot about it, and it's like, all right, so moving on.
The trailer, like, was bad.
Somehow, Denzel squeaks his way into the lead actor category for Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Do you think he was surprised?
Oh, yeah. He probably got an
Absolutely.
email from, like, the Academy, and he was like, oh, what's this? Making fun of me for Roman J. Israel? And then, you know, gets the fucking...
Do you think he, like, remembers what that was? Like, did...
I mean, if any actor could squeak in for a completely forgettable movie that nobody saw, it would be Denzel.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they love Denzel. But it's still like, man, Roman J. Israel Esquire. That's great.
I'm surprised they didn't just, like, throw Tom Hanks in there or something.
Yeah, they could have given it to Tom Hanks. I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, other lead actors that were, like, notable this year.
Pretty obvious. He won a lot of other awards, but he's got a lot of problems right now.
Well, I mean, we're not even
Kevin
going to consider
Spacey.
James Franco as a possible option. Because obviously James Franco was, like I said, perfectly timed sexual assault allegations.
They should have gotten the, what's his name? The Baby Driver kid.
Ansel Elgort?
Yeah.
You're going to nominate Ansel Elgort for an Academy Award? How low can we stoop? No, that guy was fine. I actually liked him in Baby Driver more than a lot of other idiots did. Honestly, the more I think about Get Out, the more I appreciate Daniel Kaluuya's performance, just because of all of the reactions he has to everything that's going on are
Yeah.
so perfect.
I think that Daniel Day-Lewis was the best performance out of all of these. I think he was fantastic in Phantom Thread. This is apparently his last performance, but I'm sure if a good script comes his way, he will, act again. But
Lincoln
This is his last movie in the same way that every movie made by Miyazaki is the movie he makes before he retires.
Yeah.
Right. So there you
He's
go.
retired like 7 times. So, I mean, these guys always say shit like that. They'll be back.
It does seem like Gary Oldman is the favorite, and he will win this one. This is more of like I think partially this will be like a Lifetime Achievement Award kind of thing for Gary Oldman also.
You can't negotiate with a tiger when your head is in its mouth. What a performance.
What if they don't use that scene?
What if they don't use that scene? Oh my goodness, what a travesty.
What other scene would they use? Would they use the scene where he's on the train?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your name, young lady?
Hey, that's my favorite scene. All right, Gary Oldman will win that one. All right, Best Director. Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan. Get Out, Jordan Peele. Lady Bird, Greta Gerwig. Phantom Thread, Paul Thomas Anderson. Or The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro. The Shape of Water is the favorite, Guillermo del Toro, but I think everyone here did a fine job.
Yeah.
Dunkirk's my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, which I think is kind of probably, I don't know, is that a hot take? I don't even know
It's
if
not
that is.
that hot. There's a lot of people that don't like Dunkirk, but there's also a lot of people that really do like Dunkirk, so it's sort of it's not that hot.
Okay.
That's like a lukewarm take.
Okay, well, Get Out is, of course, really, really great, and, you know, Jordan Peele wrote and directed the whole thing. Lady Bird, I think, was very good, but, maybe not quite to the level of these.
That's probably number 5 on this list.
Here's where I'm at. I'm looking at Greta Gerwig and Guillermo del Toro, and I'm thinking, not for this one. Like, you guys are clearly very talented, but you will make better movies than Lady Bird and The Shape of Water in, like, a few years. Like, Lady Bird is the first movie Greta Gerwig does, and it's very good, and it establishes her style and tone and her voice. But it's not like... It's definitely not the best work I think she's capable of. I think it's the first thing she's made.
Just wait till she makes a Marvel movie.
Exactly, and we'll nominate her for Captain Marvel 3. And then The Shape of Water, like Guillermo del Toro, he's already made a shitload of good movies, and The Shape of Water is not one of them.
Oh.
Whoa. That's a hot take.
So, the thing is, I don't want Guillermo del Toro to think this is his best work. I don't want him to be awarded for this and think, yes, I nailed it with this one, because he didn't, and I think he's a talented guy who needs a reality check to make better things with his talent.
Wait, what? Come on! I don't think he needs to. I don't think he needs to be brought down a peg or anything.
I think he does need to be brought down a peg. Okay, he absolutely needs to be knocked down a peg.
Poor Guillermo.
This guy is sweeping awards from everything for this okay movie. It's like, let's take it down a notch. All right, this is not Pan's Labyrinth.
Then I think I know where you're going with this. Paul Thomas Anderson, Phantom Thread. I think he deserves it entirely. He's also the cinematographer on this. This is purely his work. He wrote it, directed it, shot it. Like, this is a fantastic movie, and I think he is probably the best director.
Well, it's like I look at this list and you see a bunch of like storylines going into this, right? Where it's like Jordan Peele for Get Out is such an important horror movie getting nominated for Best Director and Best Picture, and it's got this super timely political vibe. And then same thing with Lady Bird to some degree. Greta Gerwig, your first movie, and you got Guillermo del Toro making his passion project. He's wanted to make this for so many years, and Christopher Nolan's just on there because whatever. But then you got Paul Thomas Anderson. And it's like, here's just a guy who is great at what he does, making another movie that is great. And there's no like storyline associated with his nomination. It's just, this is a guy who's still at the top of his game, acting at the top of his game. There's no fanfare about it. It's just solid and great. And I appreciate that. But he won't win because of that.
It's not interesting enough.
There's no push towards Phantom Thread. You know what I mean? There's no push there. Mm-hmm. It's just
You're
another
right.
really solid movie by one of the great American filmmakers. And the same thing can be said about Dunkirk, too, where it's just another
True.
movie by this guy who makes good stuff. And to some degree, I prefer that because I prefer these movies to be in the absence of all of the discourse surrounding them. I want people to move past that and just appreciate them as what they are.
Yeah.
To me, the best directed movie of this year was Phantom Thread or Dunkirk. It's going to end up going to one of the ones that has a strong storyline behind it.
Yeah.
And it seems right now like The Shape of Water has all the traction.
Yes. Okay. So going right from there to Best Picture.
Oh man, the big one. It's the big one. It's the big one.
It's the biggest.
Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. So right now, the big favorites are The Shape of Water and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
That's weird. It's really weird.
It's probably going to be one of those. I think that Phantom Thread is the best picture.
I think Phantom Thread should win, but if 3 Billboards is catching traction, I think that's going to win.
Yeah, it might. Like, the weird thing about 3 Billboards is, like, it's a very divisive movie among a lot of people who think it
doesn't talk about race enough.
Or the way it does is very stupid. And to some degree, I mean, the guy who wrote it, Martin McDonough, he's not American, right? He's
what?
Like some British guy.
Never mind. Yeah. Fuck that.
So that's
movie.
one of the things I think is crazy interesting about 3 Billboards. Some British guy who has, of course, no living context for the American experience is making a movie about Middle America. So the result of that is a very strange movie. So I appreciate 3 Billboards for that reason, even if it is sometimes a little ham-fisted as a result of its lack of perspective.
Joe, we were talking about this the other day about how people just completely forget about the best pictures and stuff like that. As I look at this list, 3 Billboards is the most spotlight movie on here.
You think so? I think The Post is pretty spotlight to me.
See, I don't know. I feel
and that's not just because they're both about journalists.
That's true. But I don't know. I feel like The Post is just kind of maybe you're right. I don't know. The Post I see more as a Bridge of Spies comparison, even though Bridge of Spies is a lot better. It's just kind of it's a Steven Spielberg movie that's on here because it's a Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah,
but I don't
can
know.
See that.
3 Billboards just seems like a movie people are gonna in a year say, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like the same thing you were talking about with all the movies and the best director thing. So all these movies have stories attached to them, sort of. But 3 Billboards is just kind of that random decent movie. I don't know.
It came out of nowhere. It exists.
That doesn't mean it's gonna win, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if it did.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah,
I would like Phantom Thread to win though. That or Dunkirk.
Yeah, I just think out of all of the movies I saw this year, Phantom Thread was the most unique and interesting and well put together piece of work I think I've seen. And Dunkirk is up there. I think Dunkirk was really cool.
Yeah.
But Phantom Thread, the more I think about it, the more I love it.
Yeah.
And I can't say the same about most of the other movies on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think for most of the other ones, the more I think about it, the more I think it's best I stop thinking about them. Because I just end up I become more of an extremist in my opinions, and I think that's dangerous with these movies.
You just hate good things. That's why you hate The Post.
All right, so let's go to what we think are the best movies of the year, or the best picture of the year, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Besides these, or if it is these, go ahead, Kyle. What do you think? Just go ahead, spitball, whatever. Things you like that are really good,
Connor, you might agree with me a bit on this. John Wick Chapter 2 is probably my favorite movie of the year.
I was going to bring that up. They'll never give a movie like John Wick Chapter 2 the kind of respect it deserves.
Yeah.
But for what that movie accomplished in terms of the choreography and the way they set up these action scenes, and that where you see every single one of them, there's no shaky cam stuff. It's made by a pure, a stuntman turned director.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very great movie.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at this list of movies I saw this year.
That's what I'm doing too.
And when I do this, I'm thinking of these primarily by what movies did I think were the most unique and interesting and left an impression that I still think about today as something that was really special to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it wasn't like the best movie I've ever seen, like just things that like made an impression, right? And I'm looking at this and I see John Wick Chapter 2, Get Out, and Phantom Thread as like the big ones.
Yeah.
And The Great Wall.
And The Foreigner with Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan. And The Lost City of Zed, which everybody forgot about.
No, that's one that I want to bring up. The Lost City of Zed was very good, directed by James Gray, I think it was.
It was a movie I wanted to be better because I liked it so much that I thought it deserved to be better than it was.
Yes.
That's yeah.
I don't know if it was eligible or wasn't eligible, or people just completely forgot about it, but that was a very good one that I'd suggest people check out. And what did Mark like? I think Mark just said
Mark said Mayhem and John Wick Chapter 2 were his two favorites.
Yeah, I mean Mayhem is very good also. That one's a fun movie, fun little movie that you can watch on demand, I think. Best movie of the year is Twin Peaks: The Return, directed by David Lynch.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, Jesus, here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
I mean Twin
is.
Peaks was the best thing that happened this year. If we're going to call it a movie, we're going to call it TV. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it's a movie. It's an 18-hour movie.
I love those. See, Connor, this is why I hate you. Because you're over here complaining about an hour-long short, and then you're fine with this 18-hour movie. Okay, I'm done. Go back to talking about Twin Peaks.
Is there anything more to say? It's the best movie of the year.
God.
All right, but in reality, in terms of just pure entertainment and film making, Twin Peaks is the best piece of entertainment. If you want to go television, movies, anything.
Yeah, if we're gonna say filmed / moving images and sound things, and the best things this year were Phantom Thread, Dunkirk, John Wick Chapter 2, Twin Peaks: The Return, Samurai Jack Season 5. I don't know, Get Out.
I really liked The Big Sick too. I thought that was
The Big Sick was pretty good. Yeah,
I think The Big Sick deserved to get nominated
for Best Picture. You think?
I would have liked that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I didn't see the post, but based on your guys' description, I think that or I'm honestly, and Darkest Hour, those two could probably drift off this list.
We can take those ones.
As Joey said, those are like the generic Best Picture movies right there.
So that's what we think for the Oscars. Probably most of these will be the winners. Some of them might be surprised.
Oh boy!
But I doubt it. The Oscars will happen. People will care for a second, then no one will care, and then people will be asking each other a year from now, what was The Shape of Water about?
Yeah, something like that. So everybody go see Only the Brave, starring Josh Brolin and Miles Teller. It's a movie about fire guys. They all die.
Oh, thanks.
Except for Miles Teller.
So it's like a Seven Samurai or Rogue One. It's like Rogue One.
It's exactly like Rogue One. It's
Nice.
the Rogue One of guys who fight wildfires.
Oh yeah, that movie. I remember that.
That's gonna be it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Enjoy the Oscars.
Yeah.
Enjoy the On Cinema Oscar special.
Yeah, do not actually watch the Oscars.
I am 100% sure that I am watching the On Cinema Oscar special over.
I am watching the On Cinema Live Oscar special. There's nothing I've ever been more excited for in my life.
And the triumphant return of Greg Turkington and Tim Heidecker.
Special guest Joe Estevez.
And Mark Proch. And I believe we'll probably get a performance from Dakar.
DKR.
Oh boy.
Or DKR, the electronic.
Yeah, it'll be DKR. Yeah, it won't be Dakar. Axiom doesn't have a hand. He can't play guitar anymore.
Okay, well, thanks everybody.
Bye.